Well, I guess I'm not the only one who thinks it's here.
Hello.
Vlad.
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm not entirely sure what the schedule is today. Maybe Nick knows.
Yeah, I think Roof said he's on vacation this week, right? The last time.
Oh yeah, well yesterday he was.
Oh, yeah, maybe didn't come back or
Yeah. Nick, do you know?
No, he's away for both days.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay. And have we got something else scheduled for today?
Probably just lightning talks. I thought I would see Rob, but again, like you guys, I wasn't sure if it was here or if it was somewhere else. I just looked in Discord. There doesn't seem to be anything going on there. So, but
All right,
I did
let me
see,
check the
but I
other
did,
calendar.
yeah, I did see some activity about in the chats about some lightning talks. So I thought there would
Yeah.
be at least those happening today.
Okay, so I did notice that we have conflicting. Well, there's another in Zoom. There's another call scheduled,
Is
but
that
that
right?
one does not has not started. So no one has started that session.
Hmm.
So unless no one can get in because it hasn't started. I tell you what, I'm going to go and join the other one and see if
Yeah.
anyone's waiting on that
Yeah,
because
but
perhaps they can't start it.
seems like people are coming in, so it's
Can can you share that link in here, Martin? Just so
Yeah,
so
if
we
there are
have that.
people, okay, well, I'll just yes, okay. Um,
All right.
I don't want to confuse people. I'll just come back and let you know
Okay.
if I've
Okay.
got it. Yeah. So the answer to the question was there were fewer people in the other one.
Hello, everybody.
All right.
Timu and I were just jawwagging over Helsinki in Finland, but what did you guys have going on? Andrew Mash, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been a while. Sorry, like yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
All right. Hello,
good,
guys.
good. Really good. Vlad, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt the conversation if there was one underway. Otherwise,
No, we've been just waiting. Like there was no conversation. It was just.
Got it. Have you connected, Vlad, with anybody in Boston? I know there's a few folks that were thinking about getting together in Boston for a
So Boston's weird. So there is like 3 agentic meetups going on that kind of have very vague idea that the other ones are happening. Like so. That's...
Oh, I see. Okay.
Hey guys.
Yeah. So I haven't connected anybody from this group, but maybe we should, like organize and see if anybody wants to be together. One of them is more like business people, and they are like from Harvard Business School, and they talk about business stuff. And there is other 2 like more technical.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm from Boston. I'm Nate.
Oh,
Nate.
there you go. Hey, Nate.
Yeah, I've kind of been lurking on this group, but just wanted to introduce myself. So yeah, I'm one of the co-organizers of the AI Tinkerers Meetup, which is a national group. And then I also helped to organize the Sunday Club, which is starting to branch out and get other cities, but it was originated out of MIT here in Boston, Cambridge. It's a weekly hacking group, so we get together every Sunday and hack from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we ship AI products by the end of the day.
Oh,
so it's a really fun group to be in, and a lot of researchers come, and then there's engineers that are also there. And we have an AI week coming up at the end of the month. It's a week-long kind of summit bringing together all the different groups in Boston. Okay. And it'd be great if some folks from the Agentics Foundation wanted to come and contribute or participate, or maybe we could do a joint event of some kind.
Nate, you say it's the end of the month, Nate?
Yeah, it's like the last week in Boston. I can put a link in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
And could you also put the link to that Sunday Club?
Yep. Yep. So this is the AI week link, and there's 2 Sunday Club links. There's the foundation one, which is here, and then there's this one. It has like a list of all the hacks. So we've been doing it nonstop for 72 weeks, I think.
Wow.
So
Sunday.
Every Sunday for 72 weeks. It started like over a year ago, and every Sunday there's anywhere from 5 to 15 new hacks that are being built. So we have quite a catalog on that Sunday.club site, all AI powered. Some of these things are just vibe coded, right? So they're not particularly mature products, but some of them have gone on to like incubate new startups and new companies.
Interesting.
Actually, speaking of events, so I recently, like this week, I discovered that Tim O'Reilly and there is a group from like Bay Area. They run, I think, every 6 months. They run something very similar to this, but because it's every 6 months, theirs run about 4 or 5 hours. Like, and there is like talks and stuff, and lots of Google people. I mean, one thing I learned, I haven't heard the term before. It's called context management. I guess that's
context engineering.
Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, Nate, there's Jed. Hey, Jed.
Hello, everyone. Currently experimenting with Kronos. How have you started your weekends?
You're a bit quiet, Jed.
Is it this one?
That's a little better.
I have, forgive me, I don't know which microphone
It's that one.
No, that's a little better, Jed. Sometimes you're quiet, really quiet, but no, that's good.
Well, the problem is I have a microphone on the camera. I have a microphone on my desk. I've got microphones in here. And then I never know which one it's using.
Right. So a quick update on Sweden. Stockholm, they are set for their next event. I think they're targeting the 24th. But Robert is just nailing down what that location looks like. It sounds like he's found a good spot for it. And of course, Ruben has offered, when the time is right, to make the connection with Lovable, Anton, and that crew. They've got some pretty good facilities there.
Actually, the people from the Lovable was also contacting me, and they wanted to have something to do with the Finnish agentics also. I don't know yet anything anymore, but I'm going to be in talks. This is not connected, I know, but they also had a
Yeah, great. I mean, it's a great platform. We've been invited to run a little innovation workshop at a firm. They've got 250 staff across a number of different teams, and Lovable is such a great gentle introduction into rapid web app ideation, like a disposable one-time use, light, low risk, very technically approachable for folks from right across the entire organization. So yeah, there's a lot of I think it's a really good toe in the water, so to speak, for a lot of teams that don't have a ton of technical strength. And then those prototypes can inform the IT department in production, and gives them a chance to generate some creativity right across the company. It removes some bottlenecks for the IT team. So it's an interesting tool for that. And of course, then there's the next level up where you start to harden it in the database and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good launching point. But yeah, there's if there's any additional connection work that would be helpful, Timo, just let us know.
Yeah, I will.
Rube's done a ton of work with them, so back to the GPT engineering days. So Timo was just saying that the Finnish WhatsApp group has over 1,000 members already.
Yeah,
in that community. Pretty amazing. If my Finnish skills are a little weak.
That's okay. Mine don't exist.
Right, there you go. That's it. So what else went on this week? We had a New York City. Jed, did you get out to the Tuesday
Yeah,
event?
I was there.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went. It's very
Yeah,
satisfying.
Langchain
As with
representatives
most of the events that I attend in New York, it's very sobering to learn what the median skill set is in LLMs. And having spoken with that Langchain guy, I understand where he's coming from, but I'm wondering how many of the insights are becoming old habits that are hard to shake.
Okay. You mean as the tech's been evolving, there's still some.
Well, for example, he only really talks about running things in a linear way, as opposed to maybe not a mesh, but a crowd, for lack of a better term.
So it's.
Am I still soft? Can't tell.
Well, you're always you've got a gentle disposition, Jet. No, so you were saying, sorry, I missed that part. So you're saying.
So my takeaway from the conversation with the Langchain fellow, is there's some what appear to be old habits that are refusing to die. The biggest one is the workflows continue to stay linear.
Right.
Is that for simplicity's sake, or that's just based on how LangChain itself likes to work?
Didn't get a chance to follow up that question. We moved on to someone else.
Right.
I spent most of the time, well, I spent my time there chatting with Ocean and then reiterating to the crowd how we now program in English, or that the tools that are built are not slop, they legitimately work. You can try it live on your devices immediately. Just go to these links. And for the repos, or at least the ones that I have, I also include the prompts that were used to generate them. So they are able to reproduce or attempt to reproduce the code from those prompts in that repo. So I think more intriguing was someone came up to me after I gave that my flash talk and had mentioned the work that I had shared about pose detection and gate and computer vision was their peer's PhD thesis, I think 8 years prior. So it's very possible I was using some of their paper's contents or maybe their code in the course of building that gate detection applet.
Interesting.
And it was kind of fun watching someone pull out I believe, an iPhone 12 and still manage to do the pose detection on themselves locally.
Wow. One thing you just said that kind of struck me, like you said, the new programming language is English. So my wife's an attorney, and I showed her like how to use like all these AI tools. Apparently, like she just late to the game. She said it's still very precise and it's like programming, so it's not really like natural language, like the language of the prompts. I mean, it looks like English.
Contracts are fairly precise, the same way syntax requires
Yeah,
precision.
contracts are precise, but lots of attorneys, I mean, how they speak, it's very vague. And so I would argue maybe it's not really like English, like the street English. It's more like a prompt type of English. Because back at Elsevier, we had this early NLP kind of work. We've been working on medical papers and how we build our natural language models. We basically said all the scientific papers, they're not written in English, they're written in the language of scientific like papers. And that we trained the models on that. And that how we got a lot of like performance, like for accuracy and stuff. Because scientific papers, they use characters that don't exist in English. They use alpha and beta and gamma. They actually put like Greek letters and stuff like that. So.
Correct, but LLMs were also trained on the entirety of Unicode. So
right.
as long as those characters exist in Unicode.
This is not an English. And LLMs use a lot of emoji. I'm just saying this is not like the English.
Okay, that's fair. But I think it was easier to connect with the audience and explain that I write code in English.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like English, but then she tried to write her own prompts and somehow she wasn't getting the correct.
It's a skill like any other.
It's a skill, yeah, it's a structure. But then she said, it's like programming, like it just use English sentences, but it's still very structured and very unambiguous and very whatever.
I wasn't sure if we had anyone presenting demos. Rob, I know someone reached out on the WhatsApp. I'm not even sure I see Rob anymore.
Oh yeah, he has evaporated.
I think there was actually two people thinking of presenting something.
I'm not even sure if they're here. That's part of the problem.
You know.
Do you know who was organizing it?
Rob.
Probably. He's the Rob. Okay, let's see if he's kicking around. We had a interesting discussion yesterday. Brad was talking about how he builds his agents using a documentation approach. Jed, do you want to recap that? Because you're probably better.
You think I remember what I said yesterday? I'm flattered.
No, I'm asking whether you can remember what Brad said yesterday.
Well, the good news is I have my transcription tool, so let me go pull that up and get yesterday's talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. Would have been the 11th around noonish.
And are you finding people are using your dev pod setup as an agentic base?
I assume so. I don't really track how much the repo gets used.
I tried it. So yeah, I used
I
the
just shared it with some
workspace
people
with
today.
batteries. Yeah.
Well,
And did it work for you?
Yeah.
I know it works for Jed. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It works
Yeah,
for
Are
me.
you
it
struggling
worked.
to get it
Yeah.
to work, Martin?
Yeah. I actually used it, but I didn't use the repo. I just looked at it and kind of set up my own one, given the local. But I took lots of ideas from yours.
Probably
Yeah.
going to turn that into a course actually in the community, Jed.
What, building or using?
Just setting it up.
Yeah, using from the outset, and then building if you've got modifications, and then probably a call to action that if you have got modifications, it'd be nice to have a little community around it to share and progress those things. Actually, that's a good point. Nick, also you might want to give us an outline of what you've added to the community disco site before or after Jake as a recap.
Yeah, I've just put like 10 micro courses. I'm going to start to put some like basic quizzes just to show that people actually went through it and learned a few things, you know. But
Do you want to
they're
share your
very small.
screen and show us the ones you've added, just so we've got a sense for it?
Yeah, so I just did, these ones are all live. So like intro to A2A, Cloudflow, Codex, DA, Edge functions, Fast API, MCP servers, Spark, Supabase with MCP, and vibe coding so far. So I'm probably going to bring this up to around 25 and then call it.
Okay, and do you have a recommended sequence of those?
Not particularly. I just put them in alphabetical order sort of thing, but it's open and available. It's that they're pretty quick. Like they should take you like 10 minutes to do. Most of the clips, I basically just took the Kaltura flashcards for various topics and then just basically migrated them in. So it's the same thing as what you would get on Kaltura through that Ask Me function there. But I just, we really need content in here. So this is kind of the bare bones, and ideally, as time goes on, we would build some more thorough training around them. I might add a video for each one that's kind of like explaining what they saw in these little clips. But that will be a project for down the line a little bit. So that, and then the various chapters. So I've just been adding these chapters. I don't know why that's taking time to load, but anyways, so all these chapters
and
so, yeah.
Are people discussing in the channels in there?
They're starting to. People, like most people, have just gotten invited, so we're up to, I think, close to 700 members. Yeah, that's why it wasn't loading, because I guess it kicked me out. Yeah, so it's growing, so that's good.
And why is it that Dragon can only see 5 on his courses page?
Probably something related to this setting here. Okay, I just had to log back in, as you can see, so it's just taking a minute because I'm sharing my screen. It's probably because we have this premium section set up. So that's why some of this we're just working through now, right? So this is like an admin view that you're seeing, right? So probably it's because we've set up this premium this. So you're probably seeing these ones, right? These 5. So I'll just have
comment.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll just have to add them here. I did invite you to each individual
You
product.
individually needed to invite me to, get access so I can use them. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. That's why you can only see these ones. So I'll just have to add them here, and as you can see, the experts for later, we'll be putting some more for some upper tier stuff. So we'll get on that today.
Sorry, I don't want to speak for you, and I don't know if it's Dragon or whatever. But
Dragon, yeah, but it's usually it's pronounced like dragon, but yeah, it's okay.
Cool. So the 5 that you can see are the ones that are currently listed under premium.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was something I was looking at today. So that'll get updated. I'll add all of the ones that are actually published under this premium label, and all the people that were on the old site, they'll get sort of like an OG status, so they'll have access to all of it. They don't have to sign up to a paid plan. They get on kind of a special plan. It's kind of this bridge that we created, a special tier for the people that were here from the beginning, basically, right?
Right. Okay. Jed, do you want to give us a little quick run through of what we talked about? You can say no if you don't want to.
Frankly, I don't remember most of it. I did, however, extract the transcript from yesterday. I summarized it into a gist, and then I dropped the gist down as a link in the chat. So if anyone wishes to understand Brad's approach to agent-based software development in his own words, you can find it there. My favorite thing to do with these kinds of documents is to put them into my preferred LLM and then just ask questions of it. So admittedly, I consume probably hundreds of thousands of words of text, but I do it by asking an LLM to use that text as the corpus from which it generates answers to my questions.
Yeah. So then I guess the big question is, we should have a shared corpus. Right. So
well, at the very least, a federated one, Martin. So, for example, this is publicly on my gist, right? So anyone who wishes to incorporate it can link or copy that text into their own repositories or into their own corpus.
If we got people to somehow indicate, so I'm not sure which way around this should be, whether it should be us pointing to them or them having something in their GitHub repository to say point to me, and then everything that is included could become part of that corpus. That could be difficult.
Yeah, so the federation is an established technology, so I'm not terribly concerned about the how. I'm more concerned about the what.
Right. So, and what would you recommend for the what?
Well, the what would be how people organize their specs, what tools they use in their programming stacks, because I know Brad's tools are materially different from mine. And I see dozens of forks and occasionally get a message or two about the Agentist's quick start. So I'm sure others are using it, if not successfully, at least experimenting to the point they got it running. And then I get the impression I'm visible enough that people still approach me on WhatsApp or LinkedIn or email. Someone found my phone number. I don't know how they did that. And
that'd be WhatsApp.
From WhatsApp, probably, but not. Well, that's a different phone number.
Okay.
And then they probably just had the LLM search for it. Anyway, I like to think I'm at least accessible enough that they're able to get the gaps filled and questions answered.
What do you think to the notion of a shared federated or a shared corpus? You know, like if we got people to, when they signed up. I mean, I suppose this is a question that maybe Nick knows. Like, do we have everyone's GitHub identity?
We probably don't, and considering how many different repos we're already consuming from and the course of creating whatever it is we're creating during our agentic engineering sessions, that list is probably not ideal. Now, I take in new information by asking Claude Code to search the internet for it, or I restrict it to things like academic papers, YouTube transcripts, or GitHub repos. So I imagine so long as it's on the internet, it's going to be found eventually, or you can be prompted to be found. So being, for lack of a better term, being a librarian, curating and organizing the content seems, in my eye, unnecessary. Although, admittedly, I'm starting from somewhere further along than someone else, so I don't know how easy it is for someone behind me to ascend the ladder to my rung.
And well, certainly the learning platform is supposed to help people ascend. Whether it's how effective it's at doing that, and whether there are more effective things already out there, I suppose that is a question.
I agree. I don't have a good answer for that. At the moment, I'm just trying to figure out how to get a dev pod to directly connect to a GPU that's on a node in a Kubernetes cluster that it's running on. I got it working as a separate pod, but not forwarded through to itself. So if we'd like to explore that for the next hour or so, I'm happy to accommodate.
It's an interesting question itself, because, for example, if we could swarm around the questions that people are interested in solving, all right? So, we've got, say we got 700 people, like, what would be a great way to field such questions so that you had the right person in the conversation with you?
Asynchronously in office hours. Or,
yeah, but why wouldn't you run simultaneously 5 or 10 or n office hours at the same time and just invite people to them so people can join the one they want to join?
Of course. I suppose within the Agentics audience, how many of those lurking have questions they wish to have answered, but for whatever reason they don't ask the question? If there's one thing I've learned having been an adjacent member, I no longer help the unwilling.
What do you define as unwilling there?
I have to explicitly tell them what to do, and they want me to do it for them. I count that as unwilling.
Okay, that's fair. They're not willing to, take the step. And I suppose to an extent that's about discomforts.
Like for me, the absolute floor is, how did you Google the problem in an effort to solve it before you reached out to us? If you didn't, I'm happy to pass you on to someone else.
Yeah, let me Google that for you. To an extent, I had assumed that one of the reasons we would have a communication forum, and that could be like a forum in Discord where you add your question, but they would be gated, right? So that initial step where you have to check the box and say, yes, I did do that. I originally imagined that we'd do that on a service desk, which, as you know, we're waiting for our GitHub service desk to be built. But it really doesn't matter as long as the how is possible. We can figure that out, but having this introducing the strongest leverage points for collaboration, I think would make the community really valuable to the other members of the community, because there are some really smart people here, and people are smart on, they have experience in different things. So whereas myself, I don't have a deep agentic experience, I do have deep experience with certain types of collaboration tools. So finding people that are the right match for your problem, I think is the value proposition, what we're looking for out of the community.
So going back to the discussion that we had with David Brace the other day, for everyone else's context, David is predominantly a product manager with decades of experience writing incredibly long specs. And so we went over why that process exists. Best conclusion I could come up with is that engineering time and the cost of developing the code is very expensive. And so there's value in generating a detailed spec so that there is little rework or needed or pivoting in flight. Now that the cost of generating that code has come down precipitously, instead of tens of millions of dollars for millions of lines, it's now $200 for tens of millions of lines per month. To what extent is writing a fully detailed spec in the beginning absolutely necessary? And I don't have a good answer, but seeing how much stuff I'm able to produce, how much stuff I throw away, and how much more stuff Rover's producing and throwing away, I only imagine the paradigm for productive development has changed. I don't have a good word for it. I don't have a good, well-defined or structured process for it, but the output is hard to deny.
If you consider something like Microsoft Word, right, where you've got this long tail of features that nobody ever uses, right, and then if you actually had a product, if you had a way of just sort of saying, or one way to think about it is this, I made a point that take a code base, generate a PRD that describes that code base, right, and then monitor the use of that application over a period of time, and then strip out all the features that were not used in that period of time. And then if something was missing, we generate that feature, right? So that would really be a living piece of software that was exactly matched to the needs of the users over time.
Hey, Chad, yeah, just some comments on this specs. So first of all, I mean, I spent forever in that world actually on both sides, writing and reading specs. I'm not sure why that process exists, because when engineers trying to implement something, they don't really read the specs and do exactly. They usually talk to people and sometimes they ignore the specs. So if you go like to any organization, look at the spec and look at the code, there is like some disconnect there. And also the reason that specs are very long, it's much easier to write very long document than to write the very short one and up to a point. Like, so I found like even if I'm writing paper, it's easier to write 15-page paper, and then it takes maybe 3 times the time when you get it published to actually do the half, because usually the process is they ask you for 15-page paper, but they said they're going to publish 8. It's very hard to make 8 pages from the 15. And that's the reason. Yeah, and I was actually looking, I'm kind of going with these things with Claude. I ask it to shrink the spec. I mean, it generates kind of have a process. It generates the specs. I ask it to shrink it and make it more precise, concise, like things. And LLM's actually good at extracting like what
the specs came in from the business attempting to speak to developers. And as you said, Vlad, developers don't read the docs. So what they did is they started creating user stories and going from waterfall to agile, but those PRD specs or the architectural spec diagram business actually attempting to say we want our
right
thing, and then it transferred over from waterfall to agile with user stories. And
So-
now it's like PRDs and specs are back into the picture.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, my worst story was for Australian government. We wrote the specs. I think they was spent millions of dollars. It was when they printed out, it was higher than me. It was like 7 foot of like specs. Like nobody's gonna read that. And after that, the project got canceled.
Yeah, like a
7 feet of A4 paper, which orientation?
You stuck, yeah. No, it's not like that. You just like put it like in the rims, right? Flat, like.
Oh wow! So
You get the like pack of paper, like print it out, then print another pack, and
So
keep
this
going,
way.
and then it's
2 meters stacked this way.
yeah. And
a couple.
this is not the most, and I think it comes from old IBM days where they would exactly like when they started waterfall, right? They spec the hell out of it, and they were treating programmers as just like sort of numberless things, even less smart than like LLM bots that would just like get the spec and translate to Fortran and punch on the little punch cards. I think it comes from that world. And,
But I think this point about user stories is what I was getting at in terms of how the software is actually being used, right? So if you can extract at runtime over an extended period of time what user stories were executed and then strip everything else out,
Except
those user stories are the living part of it.
yeah, that also got corrupted. I like 2 jobs ago. We had user stories. The people were writing 3 5 page user stories, and the way that analysts would write them, they would had this huge template, and they would just cut and paste it and start filling up. And there is like most of that boilerplate is just boilerplated. There is nothing, no content of nothing useful in there. Because my current sort of like life, I ask, we still write user stories, but I limit them to like no more than 2 paragraphs, like or like 1 paragraph. Like do not write like 5 pages of that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's a disconnect between, writing these specifications and what's actually practically can be executed in terms of like certain technologies don't play well with other technology. Just because you write them all on a long sheet doesn't mean that this is actually going to, work well. And just my other point I was going to make is that it's very similar to law in the sense that the better the person writing the specification is, the less, like to your point earlier, it could be a lot shorter because they actually know what's going on, right? And it's similar to in law, like if in England, for example, we practice, well, other than Quebec and Canada, we practice the same law, right? But so when there's an issue in Canada, the same issue that goes through the House of Lords in London or in UK or whatever, their summary of that case or their ruling may be let's say 12 pages, whereas we have the same thing in the Supreme Court of Canada and it might be 100 pages. And it's because we haven't gone through the iterations or improvements that they have, so they can actually make these decisions with significantly less written text. So it's very, very similar in the sense, like a project manager, or a product manager, or the person writing the technical spec, if they've gone through a million iterations of that process, they could write it in 3 pages, similar to the House of Lords in a case of law. And a less experienced technical writer, would have to spend the 100 pages to get everything there.
But law is a little bit different because you actually don't want law to be very unambiguous and like very precise, because you want to have like wiggle room and loopholes, and sometimes they just put in there like political things. And
it's very similar to what Brad was talking about yesterday, right? Where there's a hierarchy of like the whys and the whats and hows. But the more that is understood philosophically, the less it needs to be said. It's kind of like if you're in a tight family or friend group, a couple of words can be incredibly impactful because everyone knows the whole set of implications that word just dragged in. And that lack of common grounding is what Nick has illustrated between the UK courts and the Canadian ones, where especially if there are a multitude of different backgrounds, things need to be made explicit because they can't just be implied by a couple of words, right? That's difficult.
It is, but it's another interesting things. So LLMs know like a lot of things about like a lot of things. So sometimes when you write in a spec, you don't need to spell everything out because like this morning I was on a call at work and we're talking about MLabs and I just mentioned like DVC, like it's the data version control tool. And I just fired up the Cloud Call and asked, what do you know about DVC? It printed out exactly like what I expected, including like what commands you use and everything. So if you were to implement DVC, like unless we're doing something unusual, we just basically put on a spec implementing DVC with standard commands, like, and that lots of the things in the spec, they kind of spell out things that are common knowledge. And if there is no ambiguity in the LLM about that, you just refer them by name, and that's and maybe like few like keywords.
Depends who the knower is, right, and what they know. So,
Yeah.
And then whether that domain has an analog that somebody else is familiar with, you could just say, oh, well, you know, I can't remember what the one that the other DVCS that was like Git.
Yeah.
You know, you could say that and you go, oh, I understand. It's going to have this kind of paradigm. It's going to be distributed. It's going to be,
all right.
I can do catch ups and all the rest of it, and that's quite different to like the world of subversion, right? Or RCS. Like
right, but that's why you need to be very precise in terms. Like, so if you use very precise terms as in your prompt, you don't need to spell anything else. Like it will get there. Like, and maybe so one thing's example of ambiguous thing is web service, right? So you say you want to implement a web service. There is like 5 million ways to do that, and you have to actually say we want to do them in like fast API. We don't want to do in Flask. We want to do .NET. Like, so that one needs a lot of spelling out. But when you start mentioning specific tools, that might be all you need. Like you say, we use like this tool specifically, and like you don't need half of the. I mean, like basically 3 or 5 paragraphs. You just drop them there. So.
You bring up an interesting point, Martin, and Nick. This may be an opportunity for us to get a good intro course because I've been carrying this question, multiple conversations around what is a good makeup of a PRD or a spec, and I'll say what you just mentioned around being the nuances of language. Give you an example. My girlfriend was shopping and she was returning an item, and she went to return the item, and the cashier was replying to her. Don't remember the conversation, but she replied, I got you. And the cashier said, no, you don't have me. Like, and that was her.
Oh, right, yeah.
No, you don't have me.
And
she's like, wait a minute. That means where are you? She asked her where is she from, and they got into she turns out she was from Cuba, and for her, I got you means completely different. She was just basically saying, I understand. I got you. I understand you. So if you look at the English language alone, I can say one word and it'll have multiple nuances in terms of tonality, in terms of that actual meaning of the word. What's up, can be both negative and positive. So that's, you bring up that point, and I'm still curious about what the right product spec. And just like Vlad said, there's 50,000 ways to do web services. So maybe there's a good opportunity, Nick, for intro to product requirement documentation, good spec. I don't know.
We're coming a little bit back to sort of the land of a lexicon and a wiki and the whole, what people need to know. And maybe perhaps that's a thing we can derive from a federated corpus. Where are the ambiguities? What do we need to define? And how that sort of common unity of terms can pull us together and help accelerate.
Hey Matt, I just put a link for you. I mean, if you feel philosophical, there is, I think, this is a book from like 1969 about like speech stuff and like what uh, like it's everything about language and like in philosophy. It's and it has to do with the prompts. One thing is with LLMs to get them less ambiguous. If you have very few words in the beginning, so you kind of start put like some American slang or something in the beginning prompt, and after that it kind of puts it in the mode. And when you say "I got you," it knows like this is like sort of American background person who speaks, and it will understand that. So that I guess it goes back to like prompt engineering and careful like prompting that you can do a lot of things with very few words in the beginning that you put the LLM in the right sort of mode. Because I think how it works internally, it has all this basically entire, like it could be like, it has this multiple schizophrenic personality, but when you start talking to it, it will, like the other ones will get shadowed or like repressed. And the one that was like highlighted by the prompts, that's the one that's going to surface up and talk to you. Right? So.
Has anybody been able to confirm if Ultra Think actually works? Yeah, have anybody heard of that? Supposedly you can tell a LLM when you're prompting for anything to Ultra Think, and that will prompt it to do more deep analytical research than to.
I haven't heard of Ultra Thing. I discovered Mega Thing, so I was looking at all these
Mega
things.
Thing? Okay.
So yeah, so there are different things. There is Think Hard, there is a hierarchy, and I think it's the anthropic things to trigger the reasoning mode. Because normally, like usually with OpenAI, you have to select the, like with the cursor, you have to select the model, like you select from the drop down. And that's what it does. I mean, I seen it triggers the reasoning. And I think we talked about it with Roof like last week. And you don't always want to do it, like, because if you're in middle implementing, like writing code, and you put mega things, it will like, basically it's going to think too much. And you have to do it very carefully. Like, so one example for spec writing, it's I use it when it created like bunch of gibberish, like pages and pages of specs, right? That's when you say like condense it and like get to the point, and that's when you put mega thing. Then it's gonna like carefully read through what it's like, spit it out and put in things. Like if you want to, if you have a spec and you say implement me a function, you never want it to think. It just want it to be very dumb and read the specs and do the what the spec says. So sometimes, it's a different modes, like you have to sort of put them there. Like
sometimes I'll tell it how long to think too. Like think at least for 1 minute about this or something. But you know, that seems to help too.
Oh, I thought there's
to trigger different like you said, try if like I don't really want it to do reasoning unless it's doing some sort of planning, you know, or research based tasks or something. But sometimes that I've done that and it's like, oh, okay, I thought at least for a minute about this, so you know that tends to trigger it.
Yeah, but the reasoning spec writing is exactly when you want it to think, like finally, not when you, because usually my process is I first basically create a bunch of like spec. I just want to, it's kind of brainstorming, right? You put as much gibberish as like it can spit out. And then I tell it like, now like we have all the captured, and now like let's organize and concise short spec. And that's when you want to reason about, like, and because usually when it does gibberish, it puts like paragraphs that contradicts like paragraphs from like above, and like it misnumbers things and like does all kind of stuff, like, and then you just but it's similar how you write a paper, right? You start with a bunch of like gibberish and
sorry, a question. How much, you know, you guys use like a role-based prompting? So I'm like, you know, for deep research, I usually, you know, act as a team of MIT PhDs. I noticed that produces, you know, significantly, you know, better results, at least with the ChatGPT and Gemini.
I think with ChatGPT I tried it before, and I mean, I haven't done research. I was mostly like doing dumb things the last few months, but I think, yeah, that works. And I think Roof pointed out a long time ago, like a year ago, if you convince LLM that it's not LLM but it's a real person, it somehow like does it better. But it's only for the tasks that require like human kind of like, or at least pretend to be human level.
Yeah, I usually do that in like exploratory testing sessions.
Yes.
So you are now my pair, testing, experience, exploratory testing and things. So, feeding on, grounding on my context coming from the, quality engineering and quality assurance, and it, really gets into the role. And, the reports that I'm getting are, formatted in a way as I would, write them like a session-based report or something like that.
Yeah, yes. But for writing code, you don't want that. Like I actually found, because I actually write much longer. I mean, the generated code, I don't write it. It writes much better than me because it's kind of dumb and it sticks to very like boilerplate things. It instruments, it does a lot of instrumentation, like exception. Like usually when you write, like you lazy, you start, you get tired, you kind of like, you on a deadline, you kind of like put on the racks, you say fix later. So for me right now, I just, before I go to sleep, say like, go like clean up your type annotations, like remove redundancies, everything. It triggers like 3-4 hour session. It just goes like tentacle rounds and it improves the code quality. I would never like do that. I know some people actually stick about, because that's a whole painful pull request process that like large organizations have. You write your code, it works, you submit PR, and you get a bunch of people say this is a load of crap, and this is like what eighth graders like computer science homework look like. But somehow LLMs don't get affected by. And actually, that's my another trick. So what my prompt is, when you got the code and it doesn't match the spec. So my prompt is basically, so it matches the spec, but not exactly. It's like about code. I basically tell it like exactly like in these words. Read the specs, read the code you just produced, and tell me what you think about that. That's it, like just one sentence, and it just goes like, oopsie, and like let me fix all this.
Yeah, I usually finish like self-critique, the previous, work that you did. So yeah.
Okay, we're at the top of the hour. Sorry, Matt.
Oh no, it's cool. I mainly to act as a teacher, as a lawyer, as a politician, and I mainly focus on the output I want, like if I want a chart, if I want a plan, if I want to, that is what is work for me.
Yeah, I always ask for the output format, so that comes at the end, but yeah.
But do you put the audience, because a long time ago I took like architecture class at conference. So the guy was class about drawing diagrams, architecture diagrams for system. So one thing he said, and I use it a lot, it actually helps me, is that you draw diagrams different for CEO and for the engineers, and you don't make one from another. You just sit down with a blank sheet of paper and you draw the diagram for CEO, like with the high level and things. When you do it for like engineering team, like you get a blank sheet of paper, you don't even look what you did for CEO, and then you do it the same. So I think like kind of informing like what the audience is super important.
This is an important point about language, right? Because the language required in order to motivate an individual depends on the perspective that they have, right? And you need all those different perspectives. And indeed, the objections you're going to get are going to be dependent on the need, the role of that person, and the way that they contribute to the organization. So a long time ago, I used to work for Arthur Andersen doing large-scale systems integration, and I was trying to introduce a wiki. And what I realized was that I was essentially not talking about things that we would normally talk about, like infrastructure and architecture. Now I was talking about the impact on a community of people working better together. But I didn't have the language to do that, and I was essentially talking in a very unimpactful way to that group. So I think being able to boil it down to those different roles, whether it's in text or in visual form, whatever, is essential to moving a diverse group of people toward a common goal. What are you showing us?
Oh, I'm just trying a different way to get the workspace from a dev pod to connect directly to a GPU on a Kubernetes cluster that's running off of Rackspace so that I can run the Kronos library against it, or the Kronos model against it. Because VLLM doesn't like running Kronos. I already tried.
What is Kronos?
Kronos is a transformer model that was trained on financial candlestick data. And the idea is that you can feed up to 512 bars or candlesticks of history and use it to forecast into the future. And according to the paper, the accuracy is 93% higher than the previous state of the art. So it went from like 52 to 50s. No, so it went from 2% higher accuracy from chance to 4 and change. So effectively 52 to 54%. I'm trying to verify and validate that, and I figured that'd be a good use of running the Rackspace GPUs. The difficulty is in previous instances where I ran the Rackspace GPU, I had VLLM running in a pod that was actually mounting the GPU to itself and exposing an API within the cluster against which my instance of Claude Code was running through a proxy so that it was running effectively locally within the cluster. This is a little different. I'm trying to connect the GPU directly to the workspace. And you remember, the workspace is a Docker container that itself can spawn child Docker containers that is on top of a pod, on top of a Kubernetes cluster. So it's layers upon layers of abstractions trying to get all this to work.
Hey, Chad, I would try it, what's it called, NVIDIA SLI in each of the levels down and see if you can see the GPUs, right? So if you, what happens?
I see it at the pod level. I see it at the Docker level. The problem is when I'm using Agentis Quick Start to launch into it, because it's building the container, the build process is trying to access the GPU before the GPU has been assigned to the container.
Probably doesn't pass the whatever Docker like flags to attach GPU. So I would just make a very dumb task to like run NVIDIA slice all the way level all the way down, basically, right? And
so that's what root code is doing for me because I don't have what do you call it? Okay, cool. It's going to use sudo it. I don't have the what's it called? Thingy.
Is there a way to run it in deterministic steps like Terraform where you only
I'm very specifically avoiding Terraform only because I have one GPU. Okay. So I could only run one at a time. And Terraform has a weird lag to it. So I'm effectively going direct against the node. So this is a cluster with a Kubernetes cluster with a single server that has an A30 GPU, on top of which I intend to run Kronos, and then do without hallucination analysis on financial data that I've already paid for from an aggregator of exchanges.
Hey, Chad, actually, just a quick question, because that's how I refactor yours. Why have Kubernetes cluster? Like, because what I do, I launch a huge machine like in the cloud with this, and I just SSH to it with DevPod, and just run the whole Docker zoo inside of it. Like,
so the reason why I'm using Kubernetes is because it's incredibly cheap. Rackspace Spot specifically is offering H100s for 70 cents an hour. If you were to go to Fly.io, you pay $2.50.
But does it have to be Kubernetes, or you can just?
It has to be Kubernetes. That's the catch with using Rackspace Spot. It's their limitation, not mine.
Okay. Because on Amazon you can get it Spot in any form, like you can do it as Kubernetes,
right. At what
just
price?
regular machine. Okay, so yeah, then good luck with that. Like
that's the only reason. But it looks like it's done installing npm, installing cc usage, Rov Swarm.
But why are you running another Docker compose inside of Kubernetes, not just like
I'm not. So the dev pod itself uses what's called Docker in Docker because when I'm making new applications, I typically package them up into Docker containers. So being able to have a Docker socket exposed to the workspace that Claude Code can use means when developing tests, it's running tests against built Docker containers instead of virtual environments.
Oh. Yeah, I actually run against, because if it's the SSH, like if it's a cloud machine you don't care about, if it messes it up, you just
I also have those too. That's where I test the Agentis quick start.
Okay.
So what are you managing? You're managing Kubernetes, the dev pod, and the root code and the Spark instance. You're managing those.
I'm not explicitly managing Spark. I believe it's Roof Swarm plus Claude Flow Alpha.
Okay.
So it's Spark is embedded, but I don't explicitly call it. I rely on Claude Flow's agents to reference Spark where necessary to achieve my what.
So you only manage Kubernetes and the dev pod mainly, and
even then, I'm not really managing Kubernetes. The dev pod is the dev pod application is taking care of creating and removing the pods and assigning the GPU where necessary. All that's left is to try and, now that I'm inside the pod, try to get that pod to access the GPU so that I can have Claude Code load the Kronos model onto the GPU and then perform batch inferencing against it. Speaking of which, I should probably upload this this file. Gotta upload all the stock data.
And there's no context switch. You manage everything from VS Code, right? Once it's set up, you're in.
Yeah, VS Code is my window to everything.
Yeah.
If something breaks, I have other windows that let me see the rest of the machine, so to speak. So VS Code is my cockpit, but at the same time, if there's a problem with the engine, I have a different dashboard that I can go to make sure it's running. I have a third dashboard that I can look in to confirm the landing gear is retracted or is not retracted. Basically making sure the pod is running, it has enough RAM, has enough resources, the GPU is correctly assigned to the container. And the reason why I do it this way is because Kubernetes and Docker have very, however many, maybe millions of hours of engineering attention by engineers who are collectively smarter than me at preventing code running within those environments from escaping. So I rely on their collective knowledge, experience, and skill to make sure that Claude Code cannot escape containment.
Yeah, I mean, you can still escape containers. I mean, that's never ending. Like somebody will, because there is enough like smart people with malicious intent who trying to like find the hole. Like, and
I did write a little context thing too, because actually it was because I was using Jed's dev pod setup. It's like, where am I? I'm like inside something, and that's when I realized I was in like Docker in Docker. So I wrote this little dev context. I put it in the chat. Which is just a shell script to test the various places. Like,
That's forgive me, Martin. Did you already add that as a pull request against a branch?
I could do. It says just as a separate repo at the moment.
You have a link to that, Jed, that your dev pod, what was it, like a quick start or?
Yeah, Agentist's quick start. Just Jed Arden quick start. You should find it. You should be able to find it that way. Okay.
Cool.
So I got CC usage, Roof Swarm, Claude Flow. So let's Claude.
Seems to me like you've shaken off the rust, Martin.
Oh yeah, I can make things. I can make things.
Yeah.
I have submitted a few pull requests to those projects. I'm just kind of a bit busy on the other side of things as well. Like I'm trying to support these first robotics groups for youth, and that's taking it.
Oh, is the season starting up already?
Well, we are found we're trying to build a community team in my local city, and we've got another school board involved, which means another 5 schools. So you can imagine that's a lot of coordination. And now we're trying to do funding drive, which is a whole other world of people trying to manage data in spreadsheets. And I'm going, oh, just build an app. But do I want to look after it? I don't want to look after it. So this, it's all very well saying we can build stuff, but if there's nobody looking at it, then someone's got to pay. So
I get it. So this is basically all of the stuff that Quick Start does for you.
Fahad is asking, do you have to set any NVIDIA specific K8s or operators to manage the pod to get?
I'm still figuring that out. I'm not sure. In theory, it's, it should be batteries included, just works. In practice, it has been far from that.
No, NVIDIA always been bad at sort of maintaining the things. I think it's
right, but the way I'm mounting it is from the DRI path. So hypothetically, the Kubernetes node, the server where the physical server where the GPU is attached, is mounting the DRI path. For everyone else, that's the hardware path where these things are supposed to live.
Also, so verified. It works, yeah. So another thing to verify. So it's all the way down, right?
I have no idea where I am in the stack.
Okay. So another thing
I'm in the innermost Docker container.
I had to when early days of the machine learning had to do it a lot. Is when you start a TensorFlow or PyTorch session, you have to tell which device to use. So sometimes they just default to CPU, and that's. So you want to maybe write a little what's the libraries based on? Is it TensorFlow? Is it PyTorch, or what is it?
It's probably neither, because it's some sort of transformer on GitHub, the Kronos library.
But they have something underneath. I'm actually looking at Kronos library.
I believe you when you say there's something underneath. I do not know what it is.
Okay, so they just import transformers. Interesting, and then
right. But is it PyTorch transformers or is it something else?
I don't know. I would just for giggles. Actually, no, it wouldn't work. Just ask the Claude Code to write a simple things to just start the GPU session and just multiply 2 vectors and just see which device they use. It's a PyTorch. It says the important torch.
Okay, so it's PyTorch. I have Python installed. I have Node installed. So with any luck, I can now. I can now get it using the GPU. Let's see. So I got the Kronos directory set up. Excellent. So now I can put this here. So it's just a prompt to investigate the Kronos stuff. And with any luck, I'll have predictions going out to next Friday. And then those of you who are degenerate enough to try with real money, you can try it alongside me.
Because if you can predict with the 51% accuracy, that's actually good enough in the long run.
Theoretically, yes, but my cost of slippage and commissions probably exceeds 1%.
Okay, I mean, you can do 55 or something. But the problem is if you start to put, because it's only with the long run and the large sums of money, if you want to make a lot.
Sorry,
at some point, I don't know, I mean, Goldman Sachs have that problem is when they put a large trades, they actually shift the market themselves. Okay, Jed's gone.
Nate has a question in the chat. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, I just officially joined as a member today, and I wasn't sure if those courses are completed and like ready for people to sign up, or if they're still under development. But I tried to sign up for the Intro to Claude Flow one, and it said only certain members can access this course.
Oh, I think it's Nick still around.
Yeah, so the intro course is like the flagship that's available to all members, and
Okay.
then the other courses are actually for paid members.
Okay, because I tried to
Nate,
yeah, I tried registering for both the Claude Flow one and some of the other ones, and they all said this is only available to certain members.
So are you a paid member, Nate?
As of today, yes.
So okay, it should have sorted itself out, but I'm glad that you're giving me that feedback because it is a newer. We just created this community fairly recently. If you drop your email in the chat, I'll make sure that you get access to all of them.
Okay, great, thank you.
And if you want, of course, and I think like being a more like power user, like who would actually want more than just like the basic, the basics. So this is where you can actually go to see, like, just search anything you want, and you'll be able to see like a little bit more thorough as opposed to just a few clips of the subject. If you wanted to, there's a heck of a lot in that vault there.
Okay.
So
and
go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, as a paying member, do I have access to all the courses, or is it limited?
Yeah, for right now it will be all as we go along. Like there will be like an advanced tier, which would be for like the higher paying tiers.
Okay.
But for right now, it's going to be sort of anyone that's paying is going to see all the courses.
Nick, as a non-paying member, do you get to see the paid for courses, just not able to use them?
Not sure. We'll have to check on that one, Martin.
Yeah, we should
or we might put something where it's like, this is what will be available kind of thing,
Yeah, that's right. Because you want to motivate people.
That's right.
Part of the value ladder, Matt.
Say it again, Nick. I mean, sorry, Martin. I didn't hear you.
I said that's part of the value ladder, I think.
Yes. Yeah. 80-20. So we have to figure out what the capabilities are in Disco.
Yeah, and that's the stage we're at now, Martin, is sort of looking at some things like that now that we're starting to get some content up and some of the fine-tuning of it.
I have another question, not related to the courses, but I just applied to be an ambassador for Boston, and I didn't know like what the review process looks like. Like, will I get an email, or how does that process work exactly?
So I can speak to that, guys. So yeah.
Okay.
So
hey, Rob.
Hey,
hey, Rob.
Yeah, you'll get
the guy you want to talk to, Nate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. You're on the call. Excellent.
Yeah. So I work with Robert E. Robert E. is the chair of chapters, and yeah, you'll get an invite to an event creation form, and on that form at the top are links to multiple support documents like the Ambassador Quick Start Guide. In general, the idea of the ambassador to chapter is a light license assignment to use the Agenix Foundation name and host a meetup and get started. And if it looks like there's traction there, then ultimately it can evolve into a full chapterhood, which would be an annual assignment of the actual license agreement for use to use and build your local community. We keep very hands off, in terms of business opportunities and things that arise as a result of your meetups. That's got nothing to do with the Agenix Foundation. And that's really what that license assignment is meant to separate. So we're not looking to establish, a myriad of people that are doing business in the name of Agenix Foundation, but really support the creation of a community and live events in local cities. So that's the process. So yeah, now that you filled out the actual ambassador form, then we'll fire that link off for you. And then as you however you want to handle that first event. If it's going to be a joint or a standalone, then we've got the supporting documents to take you through that process.
Okay. And are there guidelines for kind of the format of the meetings and content and whatever? Or is it?
Yeah, we've got standing slide presentations, and then typically we'll work with ambassadors at the early stages. So as you're preparing for your first meetup, sort of talk about what kind of content you think you want to deliver. If there's community members that will pipe in, for short segments. Reuven often does that. Brad's done it as well in the past. So you get 15, 20 minutes with somebody from the community. And then it's really dependent on your audience. So if you're really strong, if it's going to be an engineering focused audience, you can dive into some of the actual development processes and do demos. If it's largely a non-technical executive audience, that kind of thing, you've got lots of options for different kind of content.
Very cool.
Okay, so
right.
a question, sorry.
Yeah.
So as I applied like a couple of days ago for the possibility for chapter in Serbia to start something in Novi Sad here.
Is this Dragan?
Yes, that's me.
Hey, Dragan, how are you?
Yeah, hi, Rob.
Good.
So, when can I expect, the next steps?
Well, why don't we do this right now?
Okay.
Why don't I share with you the link? This is the event creation form, and it has on it the links to the Ambassador Quick Start Guide. So when I see this stuff come in, you can set to be determined on dates. You can set to be determined on location.
Okay.
And then we can set up to get on a call.
Okay, thanks.
And Nate, I know there was you've got Vlad there in Boston. Robert E himself actually does spend a fair amount of time in Boston, and I think in at least one of the channels on Discord, I've seen a few other people put their hand up. So there might be a nice little team that comes together pretty quickly.
Yeah, Boston has a lot of people, but they'll just hold up like things. Nate, which part of Boston are you in?
Oh, I live in Medford.
In Bedford?
No, Medford.
Oh, Medford. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not far away. So I'm in.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes to downtown Boston from where I live.
No, but you're more my way, like, so I'm living in Acton and Concord. So that's...
And is Brad also in the Boston area? I saw he was like a TA at the CS50 class at Harvard.
Yes, he does travel down there sometimes, but he's in GTA in Toronto, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Oakville. Nice guy if you haven't met him yet.
Yeah, he was running the session yesterday since Reuven was in transit or on vacation this week. He was showing his golden workflows.
Oh, yeah.
And brutal honest assessor.
Right.
Dr. House.
Dr. House, yeah. AKA Dr. House.
Dad, what are you using to show the live token usage? Is that root code?
That's CC usage. npm install -g CC usage.
Okay.
It's not accurate in terms of like getting shut down, but it's nice going to show my boss, hey, look, this thing only costs $200 a month, and we're getting $400 of value today.
Yeah.
Hey, Jed, instead of using HTOP, do you know Glances?
I do not. What is Glances?
Glances, it's like HTOP, but it also shows GPUs and IOs and like, so if it's Ubuntu, just apt get Glances, and you need much bigger like screen space because it shows like what more.
Well, I only have 1080p.
No, the like the window itself, like you need
correct. This is a 1080p monitor. So
that's
even
fine.
if I made the text smaller, it would be too small to use.
It's not like you have a tiny like window for the HTOP. You want it probably full screen it or something. I mean. Okay.
Interesting.
Also, I think I'm melting this particular server. It only has 24 cores, and I'm already at 55 core usage. So it's likely. Okay, so the GPU is showing idle.
Yeah. You want all your cores at 100%, otherwise you're paying for something that you're not using.
I want the GPU at 100%. Right now, the GPU is idle.
It's oh, where do you see it's idle? Do you you? Yeah, that's what glances helps, like, because that's the sort of bad thing at machine learning stuff is when you're not feeding GPU fast enough. Like, so you have this powerful GPU that just sits there and twiddling thumbs. Like,
I posted the link to glances, assuming it's the right one.
Thank you, Martin. I believe it's installing. I hope it's the right one. It's taking forever, but that may just be a consequence of melting the CPU elsewhere.
No, yeah, it's usually when you.
I'm going to, I have to run onto a call. I will just switch off my camera and mic. I think if I exit, I'll kill the meeting for everybody. I'm not certain.
Make someone else
Yeah,
the host.
I think we're both logged in as the same user.
Oh, okay, good. So I should be able to go?
No, Martin is now
Sure.
logged in as well. So
I
someone else
think
has
we're
to
pretty
be
much
the host.
at the top of the time anyway. I think.
All right.
I like these side
You
conversations.
can always hop onto the Discord and carry on.
Yeah, if we're kicked off, everybody, go to discord.agentex.org and we'll start up an office hours there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
gonna leave anyway. Actually, got stuff to do.
Good to see you.
I'm interested to see the results, Jed, next week here.
Yeah.
I
Actually, I
guess we
have
can use data as of last week and then see how it predicts today.
Right. Later. Thanks, guys.
Later, see ya. Okay, I have to jump off too, guys.
I'm gonna chill here for anyone who would. Until it kicks me out, I suppose. So we can fill up Imad's Fathom note taker and take all the minutes.
I have no note taker. Oh, Imad does. Okay, Adam. What's up, Adam?
All good. Just quick question to Jed about the forecast this week based on the data. So for me, this is like far away from what I'd be capable of. So it's more like just a question. Could you, and a curiosity, like could you test this with example data sets where there were unexpected swings, like due to tariff announcements and all that, and see how does like Kronos handle those environments?
It's unlikely because this is basically reacting on patterns it sees in candles, whereas the tariff announcement is a news-based thing that's completely unrelated to the markets. So the only way it would take advantage of that kind of movement is if someone knew of the announcement coming, front ran the trade, which caused the price to move or change the shape of the bar, and then hypothetically being able to detect that insider trading is your signal into the news coming. Now, the data I have is daily, so I wouldn't be able to see minute level data, unfortunately. That said, I did ask questions. I did load the paper into Claude Desktop, and then I asked questions of the paper. Now, the training corpus for this was on the order of 12 billion candles, and a candle is open, high, low, close, and volume. So, for reference, if you were to include the daily ticker for every stock that has ever existed in the US from 1990 to present, you'd only come out to about 400 million data points. So you'd need to add minute level data. You need to add interval, like shorter intervals, so 5, 15, 30, 1 hour, 4 hour. And then you need to go to use that same distribution of intervals, but then in other markets just to reach 12 billion. So
interesting.
I'm curious to see, based off of that really wide corpus of data, how accurate it is, and if, for example, I could fine-tune it on single stock.
What can you trade?
I've got this really nice GPU for cheap. Yeah, ETF counts as single stock, a single ticker.
True.
That's the intent.
Are you able to go live with daily data? Because if that,
why not? If the trades last for 2 to 4 weeks, everything is just horizon based.
Okay. I thought it
So
was
if I'm
more
using the previous 500 bars or 500 days to predict the next 10, and it's reasonably accurate, then it stands to reason that if the accuracy is high enough, it probably makes sense to try. Although in practice, I'd probably want to tune the look back so that it's optimizing for the next 5 days. Mainly because I'm impatient.
Could you connect it to a Polymarkets API to
No,
also?
I'm not going to do that. What I intend to do is use it to draw predictions and then infer from those predictions or from the current option open interest or the implied option price from the market to see what the market is expecting. And then from that, figure out if a trade is even worthwhile. Because if the market is predicting a 5% up move and Kronos is predicting a 5% up move, it's already priced in. I'm not going to make money. It's a material omission from what I could glean off of someone else attempting something similar without being too specific. So yeah, I am curious now. What is consuming the CPU? But it's not. So it looks like it's building out right now the workflow needed to convert the data from the format that I have into the format that the Kronos model needs before running the Kronos model. Yeah.
Adam Rube is doing a training on his Neural Trader app.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw that. I was just asking from a tinker curiosity perspective.
So yeah, you get to watch me vibe for a little bit, but something a little more, maybe a little less unproductive than, fantastical things that are hard to verify. Oh, damn.
Did you install Glances already?
This is Glances. I'm trying to figure out where the GPU is. Like it's mentioning there's a GPU at the top, the A30 reference, but I'm not sure where in the Glances interface I can see GPU. Oh. I don't doubt it's there, just I don't know how to get to it.
Does that view take what you get, or can you change the view options?
I don't know. And it's unfortunate that Vlad is no longer here to guide me. So I will ask in another Claude Code instance after I'm done rewriting the prompt.
Yeah, I don't see GPU.
To use the GPU to
Emotes.
So yeah, I'm asking now Claude Code to update the prompt that I originally wrote. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, Fuck, I didn't put these in tmux, did I? Oh, I did. Okay. Cool. Skip. Launch tmux. I believe I do have a 3 o'clock call, so I'll have to hop off for that. But then we can always reappear in the Discord once I'm done with that call. Call scheduled from 3 to 4 Eastern.
So your stack is Cloud Code, Tmux, DevPod, and Kubernetes and Rackspace spots, right?
That's and root code and CC usage and Rev Swarm and Rev Flow. Like there's a lot of stuff here. So it's a little unfair to call it a stack because they're not layered in the same way. It's more like I've got Kubernetes as the bottom bread, right? I've got different cheeses. So it's not just pepper jack, it's pepper jack plus cheddar plus what else?
Okay. Yeah.
Plus of Swiss, right? That makes up my different LLM endpoints. So Claude Code, Root Code, Klein. And then on top of that, I don't just have tomatoes, I have lettuce as well. So Roof Swarm, Claude Flow. I also have CC usage running in there, right? And then on top of that, I've got my own set of prompts or prompt templates or the helper scripts, so let's call that the mayo plus the chipotle sauce. And then it's an open face sandwich. It's not really a stack.
Those your prompts are the MD files, right? That's where those
correct.
Okay.
Okay, so it's installing Torch.
Looks like it's going to be sandwiches for lunch today.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry. I should probably get something. But okay, so it looks like it's rewriting like supposed to write it to Chronos prompt. I don't see it yet, so I'm sure it'll show up, just chewing away. The one downside is because I can't seem to do Docker in Docker. It's making virtual environments, which in my opinion are very unwieldy. Okay, so the command is glances mean GPU. See if that does anything. Okay, I see disk IO. Yeah, I'm not really sure where the GPU usage is here in glances. -6. Yeah, I got nothing. So save those compute cycles.
So for now, it's CC usage then over glances. So
the CC usage is for the LLM consumption. It's HTOP for the compute. And even then, CC usage is melting. All right, 300,000 tokens a minute. We can push that number a little bit. think I'm paying 16 or 17 cents an hour for this server, so we'll see how that goes. It's only an A30 or A20, whatever the cheaper GPU is on Rackspace. Once I validate it as working, I can make it scream on the H100s. Because hypothetically, it's all CUDA, which means the libraries and the code here should similarly work.
So you like to keep Claude up to the top, to the right, and then when you do terminal, you just keep it at the any terminal access you need at the bottom like this.
Well, I can open up more terminals up here too. It's just doesn't really matter where. But I'm like 40%, I'm 60% terminal, and then this is just reading the file contents where they show up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's no way it's ready to do the results, so it's probably not real. As it's doing GPU tokenization, but what is the current GPUs using? I don't want a definition. Okay, so something is going on because the CPU is melting.
Are you running? How many are you running agents, or what's happening
The
right
agent's job is to write scripts which execute on the server because it's basically the same steps over and over again, just on lots of data, on the order of, I think, 8,000 unique tickers, each going back 3 years.
now? Okay, so it's analyzing right now all of the historical data. Is that what is happening?
Fucking idle. Okay, so it's not using the GPU. Hmm.
Okay, research test. Okay, got it.
So we'll see if we can prompt it to use the GPU that's available. Just ask it to use the GPU to prepare the data for Kronos. What is this? So this is the SMI endpoint for NVIDIA, and right now it's saying no running processes found. So it's definitely idle.
Okay, I gotta take this. I gotta go. So I'll see you guys later. See you later, Jed. Thank you.
Of
Received
course.
bounce to your call. So thanks for showing, and I'll check out Discord for results. Enjoy the weekend ahead. See you next time.
See you guys.
Take care. Oh, now I'm curious. Who's actually here instead of all the robots? Just out of curiosity, who's still awake?
I am awake.
Imad, okay. Cool.
But not, I don't know what you are running. I mean, exactly.
Kronos is a library or a model that uses financial data instead of text. And transformers, the way LLMs do, to make predictions. So hypothetically, you can feed it financial data and then get predictions back out. And it's presumably more accurate than the next state-of-the-art thing.
Okay, and you are trying to run it with some live financial data, or you
I
are trying?
have historical financial data going back 3 years across 10,000 different securities or whatever, and I'm trying to validate the claims of the paper.
Which paper could you share, please?
Yeah, sure.
So basically, they are claiming that they got good performance with their method, their approach.
They're claiming their approach is superior to the published state of the art. It is unclear if this is a ploy for them to be recruited by hedge funds.
Okay. But these papers, they are only published in archives, so they are not in a conference or something like that.
You'll have to look up the papers. I happen to know that they're in archive. I don't know if they are elsewhere.
Hmm. And generally, when you do like this, when you check like papers and you try to see if what they claim is correct or not, is it positive or negative? I mean, in general.
It's more nuanced than that. Most claims are easy enough to verify. Just no one really goes through the effort of doing it.
Okay.
Okay, so it's running the Chronos model, but the GPU has no process. So what's going on? Ugh.
Like you have a main script and you have other scripts who are running to detect to see the performance.
Basically, yeah, I have multiple instances of Cloud Code running and then just telemetry down below to make sure that I'm actually consuming the GPU and not something else.
Right.
So, Jed, have you been able to access the GPU through pod like that before? Like, have you been able to ask Cloud Code to do that process, like consume the GPU resources?
This is the first time I'm having Cloud Code directly consume the GPU, so I don't really know how it's going to work. The way I've done it in the past is I had VLLM running in hold on a second. Sorry, someone's slacking me.
Sure.
Truthfully, I don't really know what's precisely happening under the hood. I'll find out in a few hours, I suppose, once it says it's done successfully, if it succeeded doing the thing I asked it to do.
Yeah, yeah. I was just wondering like how the plumbing works in terms of from the pod to the actual hardware. Like it might need some kind of drivers, and on top of that, Kubernetes
Oh, I
operator.
have the drivers. I can see the GPU. That's what this is. This is the equivalent of HTOP, but running on the GPU. So right now the GPU is consuming 31 watts. There are no processes listed for it. Like it can access the GPU. And it's not simulated, so I know that's real.
Okay.
But I can't figure out why it's not actually using. It's plausible that it's still tokenizing the data.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking like to do like a basic, like a simple CUDA app to put something on the GPU quickly and see.
Oh, I've already validated that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to get the tokenization part running.
Yeah, that's good then. It seems like, yeah, you validated that basic test that, the plumbing from the part to the hardware GPUs is working, and, data can be loaded and all that.
Yeah, so that part's been confirmed.
Cool.
Forgive me, I need to hop on another call.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.